Hello and welcome to Ideas with Impact podcast. Today, the guest is Dan Gibson, a dating coach who helps men in midlife navigate the complexity of modern dating with more confidence, clarity, and authenticity. Through his work, he supports men in creating deeper connection, healthier relationship, and greater success in love. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What a beautiful introduction.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Again, thank you so much for taking your time and coming on here. I am very curious about the dating world in men. So I just want to ask you, dating today feels really, I guess maybe not confusing, but very hard for so many people, men and women. So from your perspective, what is the real state of dating right now in today's world?
Wow, that's a very broad question. What is the state of dating today? It's a challenge for both men and women for some similar reasons and some different reasons as well. But talking about the men that I particularly align with and work with, which is men aged, the median age is around 45, and it seems to be the age at which a lot of men come out of a long relationship, a marriage or something like that, resolve all of that, find themselves single again, and then realize, oh, okay, what do I do now? I've got 20, 30 good years left, and I don't want to do that alone. Start trying to date, do the typical thing. Oh, people do online dating now. I'll download a dating app. That'll be easy. And then crickets, and then nothing works, and it's a nightmare. So the state of the dating is tricky as well because we have lived so much more life as adults than we have as kids. And our lives have taken certain directions, and we've entrenched certain routines and behaviors and patterns which are more conducive to leading a more isolated life rather than an opening, welcoming, expansive life. A lot of men particularly meet a woman, get married, and the old, 20 years ago, it was like as a man, it can be very difficult to find the right woman to marry. Like, I suppose it is for women as well, but it's like, oh, I've done the hard work. I did all the things I had to do to get a woman. Now I'm married. Now I don't have to worry about women and flirting and dating and sexual chemistry and how to text and all these things. I've got my marriage. And so then they go through that, and then they've lost all those skills of flirting and expanding their social circle and networking and doing all these things, unless that was part of their job. So most men come out of a long relationship like that and find that their social circle is completely gone. They often, remember what dating was like before the internet. Okay, because let's be honest, there was no dating apps before really 2010. There was a little bit, but really it's been 2012. So there's only been dating apps for sort of like 10 or 15 years at the most. And back in uni days, in college days, there was parties and women and social circles, and life was expanding. Life was just full of opportunities. We didn't have all these ingrained, entrenched routines and patterns and behaviors and kids and family and work and commuting and all of these things that we acquire into our lives. So our lives are very, they're full of all these complexities that weren't there when we were kids, when we were in our early 20s. And so dating is completely different. On top of that, we've got both men and women are carrying a lot of baggage that has to be worked on in terms of, past relationships that were damaging in some way or traumatic in some way. So we're carrying these extra emotional baggages as well. So there's all these complexities that mean that finding the right woman or finding the right man, but, I'll speak from what I do, finding the right woman actually requires, it's not something that's just going to happen like that. It's something that's going to require a focused effort and following some very, very clear steps that are going to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So that's how I see modern dating at the moment. It's like, it's a minefield. It's complicated. There's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of noise. And the thing that makes dating today more difficult than ever before is the fact that everyone's talking about it on the internet. and I work with a lot of men that I can just hear. I hear them speak. I'll get into a conversation and I'll hear things that I've heard gurus say online. I'll hear things that I've heard people talk about dating on podcasts. And because so many people are so confused, they're just looking for answers. And when they're on the internet, on social media, they're getting bombarded from every direction about what you should do, shouldn't do, what's right, what type of girl do you want, what type of, and it's just creating confusion. So you've got noise, you've got complexity, you've got challenges, you've got all these things that have happened in your life. And so it's a complicated, difficult thing. However, I will say that once you can break through all of that, what you want is absolutely 100% possible. And I think that a lot of men today, the other thing that's happening in dating, you could probably speak for women in general better, but definitely for men, is that they're almost at the point of thinking it's not even possible to find love or a relationship. There's a lot of men that are right at that tipping point where they're like, you know what, I think I'm just going to have to be alone for life. And so that's where the state of modern dating in the West has got to. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it's true. And you know what? It's really easy to be on your iPhone or your phone generally, and you're talking about the dating app. Because I've been them myself. We were speaking earlier, and I mentioned to you that my husband and I were separated for 7 years. We're back together now, but the dating scene was just absolutely like, for me, from my own experience, it was very disheartening. I thought I would be honest as much as possible, trying to speak my truth, and no one was really interested. They just want to get in my pants. I think we women are a little bit more craving the emotion part of it, connection.
Mm-hmm. Are you looking for me to respond to that?
Yes.
Specifically?
Yes, for men on men's side.
I mean, I could talk for hours on this, and I've got to be careful to make sure I contain the direction that I go in, that it's going to align with what you actually want, like the question that you're actually asking. I mean, are you asking more about what is it that men want in general?
Yes.
Or are you asking
like, what are they craving? What's the craving for in the relationship when they're looking for someone? Let's say online.
I think you have to look at it not at a surface level, what they're looking for, but what it means underneath and what men are looking for. And what the men that I speak to, hundreds of men, the overwhelming message that comes through is that they feel unseen, they feel unloved, they feel unrespected, they feel undesired, they feel unattractive, and the way that a lot of men that haven't healed all of that in their life are looking to fulfill that is through sex. So sex for men and women means very different things. And men experience sex differently. They use sex for fulfillment in different ways to women. Very, very different. There's biological, psychological, evolutionary, psychological ways that sex is different for men and women. And so one of the ways that they feel loved in the modern world or feel desired is by being able to get sex. And so quite often men will chase that as the first step rather than understanding that sex in a communion comes through from getting intimate with a woman and getting to that stage and creating a relationship where you're at that level, if that makes sense. So it's not that men just want sex, it's what sex means to them. And on both sides of the men and woman story, the thing that we're both missing, and this is what I help men with understand, what we're both missing is that the experience of a woman in love and sex and relationship and dating and the experience of a man in those same things is polar opposite. And it's not helped by the fact that dating apps, for example, are a algorithm that is designed to be a one-size shoe fits all feet, meaning women are trying to use it the same way that men are trying to use it, but attraction doesn't work symmetrically. Attraction and chemistry and intimacy between men and women and sex is not the same. Yet we're trying to date in the same way. We're trying to meet in the same way. And if you look back before the internet, it was like men were still suffering from the same problems. Like men were still wanting to get in women's pants and wanting sex and seeing sex as the holy grail. That's always been the case because of what it means for them. But women had to get dressed up and go down to a bar and make eyes and, you know, signal men and flirt, and then would have to wait for men to approach. And that basic foundation of masculine, feminine courtship, sexual courtship, has been eroded and erased, and dating apps are definitely not helping with that. And so for your female listeners, for your women listeners, it's about it. You've got to stop and you've got to put yourself in the shoes genuinely, authentically, of what is a man experiencing on the other end of this dating app, because I promise you it's different to what you're experiencing it. And what is he looking for? What is your dream man, the man that wants a relationship and wants to connect and all these things? What is he looking for on the dating app that I can create when I'm building my profile and through my messaging that's going to be interesting and attractive to him and doesn't just attract sex? There's always going to be that noise. And as users, we have to eliminate it. We have to filter that out. That's normal. But I also say to men, like men put up photos of dead fish and they put up photos of their dirt bike and stuff like that. And I have to explain to them that, what, are you building a dating app to try and attract other men? Or do you want to build a dating profile to try and attract women? Because we're just building these dating profiles based on our own lens from our own sexuality and our own experience of life as a man or as a woman. And that's one of the causes of the big disconnect.
So this brings me to a point, because I do know a lot of women who are single, let's say in their 40s and 50s, and having these conversation with them, a lot of them, including me when I was single, we have received a lot of dick pics. Why is that happening? Why do men do that?
Great question. But I think I've already answered it, because men naturally assume that what turns them on turns women on, because they're so unable to see how women experience men and sex. They're so unable to understand that perspective, which is the opposite of them, that it's natural. They think, oh, because what do men want? They're behaving in the way that they want women to behave to them.
Right.
They're mirroring the behaviors that they want, that they desire. This is why porn is, like, the majority of the hardcore users of porn is men, because they're very visual creatures. We're very visual. We're turned on. We're excited by what we see. And it's why a woman can have a primary photo on her dating app that is her looking hot in a nightclub or out at a restaurant in a toilet selfie with toilet paper over the side of the toilet. And men don't even notice that. That's not what men are looking at. They're looking at, how does her form and figure turn me on?
Right.
Whereas if a man was to try and build a dating app like that, he would never attract a high-quality woman, because she'd be like, does that guy really care about himself so little that he'd take a selfie in a club toilet? Right. That's disgusting. Right. So that sort of gives you a bit of an insight into the differences of how men and women are perceiving each other. And so why do men send dick pics? That's because that's what they want. They're craving sex, because sex to them is validation that they are on as far as, you know, the hierarchy of men and status of men. Being able to get sex as a man validates your place in the hierarchy of men, because very low-level men do not get sex. And we know that as men. We know that intuitively. That's why sex is so important to us. Like, there are other reasons. Of course, we enjoy the intimacy. Of course, we love the connection with women. But if you were to put a list of reasons why we love sex and then prioritize them, number one is that it validates our status as men among other men, that we can get sex, because men know how hard it is to get sex from quality women.
Right.
We know as men. Women don't understand that, because to women, especially attractive women, sex is everywhere.
Right.
It's constantly available. You've grown up with that. You've lived your whole life, your 20s, being surrounded by men trying to get sex. You're like, oh my God, I can get sex whenever I want. Sex is so easy. But for most men, like 95% of men, it's absolutely not the case. Like something like 30% of men under 30 are virgins today. That's just unheard of with women, because sex is everywhere. So men understand how difficult sex is, and so that when they're sending you a dick pic, it's all coming from a place of getting of wanting that, mirroring the behavior they want from women. Because if they get that behavior, if they had women sending them nudes,
Right.
it validates that they can get sexual access to women,
Right.
and that validates them in society as a man worthy of respect from other men.
Right.
At a subconscious level. I mean, we're going very deep
Right.
here, Alexandra,
Yeah.
already. Like, don't invite me on a podcast if you don't want to go deep. So,
Hey, we can go as deep as we want, so it's okay. I mean, I think this whole conversation
okay.
is so important because, again, having, as a woman, having that understanding, and it's not only me, for all the women, having that understand if they're in the dating world right now, is, yes, the polarity is there for sure, but also having that understanding that, you know, sex is different for everybody. It's important for men. It's important for women too, but I think our priorities are a little bit different. You know, for us, it's the emotion, the conversation, and then that slowly leads into the sex.
It's intimacy and it's connection.
Yeah.
And as well, biologically speaking, when a woman has sexual intimacy with a man, it releases huge amounts of oxytocin, which is the love drug. It's the same drug that women get as newborn when they have newborns. It's the bonding drug.
Yeah.
It's the bonding hormone, oxytocin. And for women, biologically, sex releases that in huge quantities.
Mm-hmm.
For men, it doesn't. There's this weird difference between men and women. Men get crazy before sex. They go crazy. And as women, you've probably noticed it, like they're sniffing around. They're trying to get sex. They're trying to get sex. They're trying to get sex. They're crazy. They're crazed about sex. But then most women have experienced that once a man's had sex, his interest and curiosity drops off and wanes, and he wants to go to sleep, and you know the cliche stuff, right? Yeah. And he loses interest, and his focus of attention goes somewhere else.
Right.
Whereas women, it's the opposite. They're the opposite. They're like, yeah, sex is everywhere. And then once they have sex, that's when they go crazy. Women go crazy after that because they've got the oxytocin. They're like, oh my God, I want to connect with this guy. I want to get closer. Yeah. And so again, it's just a fundamental difference between men and women that's not accounted for in all of our activity as men and women when it comes to dating and understanding those differences.
Very good analogy. I really like that. It is, it's like one of the books, men are from, what was it?
Mars
and women are from Venus. Yeah. It's like totally the opposite, right? So do you think having...
I actually reread that recently, and it's quite outdated, and it's got the foundation of it is quite accurate, but yeah, there's been much better books written about sexual polarity between men and women. You know, David Dieter,
Yes.
The Way of the Superior Man.
Yes.
I mean, it's a fantastic book, and I think that women should read that as well.
Mm-hmm. We have it at the house. I bought it for my husband about 4 years ago. I was like, here, please read it.
Book. Girlfriend's reading his latest book called Intimate Communion, and once she's finished it, I'm going to read it. Apparently, it's wonderful. So
do you think having too many options today is really making harder for people to choose the right partner?
Let me try and understand the question. What your question is there just too many options?
In the way of dating apps. Because there's not only one dating app, there's so many different dating apps right now.
Mm-hmm. I think what dating apps have done is magnified and amplified problems within individuals and within the dating market that always existed, but it's just amplified them at a global, massive scale. Because what dating apps did was commoditized the sexual marketplace. Mm-hmm. So before the internet, if men and women wanted to meet, women had to get dressed up. They had to put on their makeup. They had to smell nice. They had to check with their girlfriends that they look cute. They had to organize with their girlfriends. They had to leave the house on a Friday night. They had to go down to the bar. They had to, stand at the bar and talk and chit chat, or go to the party or whatever, and, wait for opportunities to either open with men, but generally speaking, women prefer it when men open the conversation with them. And same for men. They had to, look their best, get dressed up, go down. There was some real effort that had to be put into it. But in a closed, without the internet's amplified everything: business, dating. It's made endless opportunities in every marketplace. But when there was only real life, there was also very clear options for women in terms of the type of man that they could, secure in their local neighborhood or their local community. And the same for men. Like, the hierarchy was real in terms of, it's so crass, but on the dating market value, right? What is on the dating market? Some of women's best value is their beauty, and some of men's best value is their status, their place in the male hierarchy, right? Like, higher status is more attractive to women, greater beauty is more attractive to men. Very generalizations. And so in a small community, like a town or whatever, women would go out, or even in a big city, they would go to the bar, and it would be the men that were available that would also go to that bar, and they had the same choice from women. So yes, it's created access to all these different men and women, which has created problems, but it hasn't really changed the fact that you've got what is created is a situation where we have to get better at filtering, screening, and selecting, and being realistic about what it is that we want, and not deluding ourselves that we are going to be able to secure a mate that is out of our league by either for women or men in any significant measure. Like, that's just a really harsh reality. And so what dating apps have done have created a situation where men can see women that are of greater beauty than they would normally be able to attract in a normal, like, in-person environment. And women are also able to attract men of higher league than they would normally be able to get into a relationship with. So women are always looking for what they can get into a relationship with. Men are always looking for the level of woman that will sleep with him, that will have sex with him. This is very like gritty, primal level stuff. This is not, I'm just talking about raw biology, raw sexual psychology that is the driving narrative and story underneath everything that we do as human beings. And so it's created these problems. And what we have to do as men is we have to make sure that at every level we are working towards living the best possible life that we can at every level. And if you want to take the three main pillars, there's, health, wealth, and love, right? Health and fitness, your work and finances, all of that area of your life as a man, and then your relationships, all your relationships, but your intimate relationships. And so for these two, we have to be working on them as well. And so what we've got on dating apps, and I am rambling a bit, you can feel free to interrupt if I'm rambling too much. What we've got with dating apps is we've got a lot of noise, okay? Noise on both sides. And in order to cut through the noise, the first step that we have to do is get really clear on who we are and what we really want. And that is the work that the majority of people are not doing, both men and women. And what I've seen through the work that I've done with men is that when they get clear on that, who they are at an identity level, what they actually want, and really develop that clarity and vision around that, is that then the noise starts to melt away. And then for men, it's a matter of developing communication skills and learning to speak in the language that women understand, which is much more emotional, much less logical. Because men have to, pursue women. Men are the ones that are approaching women. Men are reaching out to women. Men are doing that legwork. Women are waiting for the right men to come to them. And then from a woman's perspective, it's a slightly different story, is that you have to make sure that through your dating profile and the things that you say, that first of all, you know what you want in a man, and that the things that you're doing are automatically filtering out the men that won't be like that through your profile. So yeah, that's does that answer your question?
That's good. Yes, but because we have so much noise in the background, and because we can swipe left or right so quickly, we don't really truly look at that person maybe as an individual, and we're really trying to like we scan it so quickly, right? So the question that I would have for you is that how have we lost the art of really truly getting to know someone beyond the app?
Lost the art of doing that?
Yes.
I think no. I don't think any more than was ever there. I think it's just really amplified.
Mm,
But what it's also amplifying is the fact that there's so many people that need to first of all do the inner work on themselves rather than seeing dating or a relationship as the savior or the distraction to the other things that are going on for them, which is the pattern that I see across men and
right.
women jumping into a relationship when they don't even really know who they are, they don't even really know what they want, and there's unaddressed internal conditioning issues that haven't been resolved, which is, either from past
Mm,
relationships or from abuse as kids or all of these things, which is where, 3 to 6 months of therapy can really help. And
right.
I recommend that everyone that hasn't done it should really do that.
Yeah.
Not endlessly, not for the rest of your life. Like that's bad, but to really go in and say, who am I? What do I want?
Yeah.
Where am I? What are my problems? What are my blind spots that I'm not seeing? And then from there, from at least from a man's perspective. So when I met my girlfriend, I went on around. I had my systems dialed in, and you'd hope so because I help men do this. But I went on around 29 new first dates across around 9 weeks. So it was a really focused effort,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a very clear vision of the type of relationship that I wanted, what that meant for me, why I wanted that relationship, where it was going to go, what it looked like in the future. It included, the other people in my life in terms of how they would fit in with that. So my daughter, for example, from
Mm-hmm.
my previous relationship, my daughter's with my daughter's mum,
Mm-hmm.
and so I knew I'd done the work to know exactly what it is that I wanted from relationships and life. And the minute I do that work, then and then apply the right steps as a man on dating apps. So the actions that you take as a man are going to be different to the actions that you got to take as a woman. The way that the men who are successful on dating apps use them very differently to the way women use them,
Right.
and they set them up very differently. And they're trying to create very, very different metrics on the dating app. And again, dating apps are designed as a one size shoe fits all feet,
Yeah.
but men and women are fundamentally different. And so I went on 29 dates, and within that met my beautiful girlfriend, but I knew exactly what I wanted and I knew exactly what I didn't wanted. And so I was able to very quickly filter out the noise. And in fact, because I had that level of assuredness of what I wanted, it also automatically made women self-select as well,
Mm,
because they could see that I was a man that knew what I wanted. I was a man that couldn't be manipulated. I was a man that had, you know, erase any people pleasing or nice guy tendencies within my personality, that I didn't put up with any bullshit, that I have expectations for a woman's standards as well as for herself, as well as in a relationship, that I wouldn't tolerate any bullshit
mm,
from women.
right.
I'd rather be alone than tolerate bullshit. But that didn't mean that I was going to force myself to be alone and live like a hermit.
Right.
No, I'm still going out to get what I want. And I had a very clear vision for what I wanted to create for
Mm,
myself. And so as a result, that very quickly materialized, and in ways that sometimes are hard to fathom, like the beauty of the way the universe assembles what it is that you want when you've got clear vision, huge clarity, and commitment to the process, and you just go out and take the steps. But a lot of that came from also doing healing from the fact that I had
mm,
been in a relationship the same as all the men that I work with in that 45 to 50-year-old
mhm,
age range. They've been in a marriage, they've got kids, they lost themselves in the marriage, they forgot how to flirt. Then they get destroyed by family court,
mhm.
and they have to, and then they've lost their identity in the marriage. So that healing work has to be done. If you don't do that healing work, then of course dating apps are going to be a mess. And the reason dating apps are a mess is because no one's doing the work.
Mm,
And we all want the easy magic pill. Dating
right.
apps are a magic pill.
Right.
Okay. It's that, it's like that's how they're marketed to us.
Yeah.
Download Tinder, meet your perfect match. It's the magic pill. Oh, great. I don't have to go and do all this really hard work on myself over here.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, unless you're willing to work on yourself and take full personal responsibility for who you are and everything that is in your life, all the failures, all the shitty men that you've dated as a woman and vice versa as a man, that's on you. It might not be your fault to begin with, but as an adult, it's your fault if you don't fix it and you don't own it. Yeah, all I've done is date shitty men for the last 20 years and I've attracted shitty relationships and I've allowed myself to be, trampled and not, as a woman, trampled, not have my voice heard, be put down in a relationship, be strung along, be cheated on. If you as a woman can't own that, then you'll just keep attracting more of the same. You've got to own that was you. And for men, you've got to own that you allowed the woman to take control in the relationship. You allowed her to test you and you failed those tests. And instead of standing up and saying no when you should have held the line and showed her that you were the rock that she could lean on, you let her take charge. And then she was able to manipulate you. And once she can manipulate you in the relationship and get you to do what she wants at that level through manipulative tactics, not co-relationship tactics, like where you're working together as a team, but like she can dominate you in the relationship, then she's going to lose respect for you. And so if you don't go and own that and do that work, then no dating app's going to save you. No process, no solution's going to save you at all as a man or a woman. So I sound harsh, but that's the truth, Alexandra.
It is the truth. And I believe in that too. And I think it really truly starts with you. You have to look at yourself and you really, I really love what you said, is that you have to be clear of what you want. But before get there, you really truly do need to look at yourself as a whole, right? And help is there. There's no doubt about it. If you are feeling off or you feeling a little bit a buzz of that there's something off and you're having a really hard time finding the person, then, sit with it. Sit with yourself, meditate, breath work with coaches like yourself to really truly, I think, like we said earlier, really truly know who you are. And I think once you get there, then it's going to be so much easier to attract, because again, it's the energy we attract of what we are and who we are, right? So I love what you said.
100% agree with that.
Yeah. So let's talk about confidence, because confidence is a word we hear a lot. So what does real confidence actually look like in dating?
So, I mean, are you curious, what does confidence look like to men in women? Are you asking about what does it look like from a man's perspective?
From men's perspective, for men.
For men. So what does confidence feel like? Mm-hmm. What does it look like? Okay, there's two types of confidence. Mm-hmm. There's skill confidence and there's self-confidence. Mm-hmm. And skill confidence is the lower level one. It's the one that arrives from doing something you've never done before repeatedly, failing and getting better and learning. So the obvious example is driving a car. And most people get in behind the wheel of a car for the first time, having never done it and often not even really thought about it. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to learn to drive. They sit behind the wheel and then they're like, oh, my God. And the first time they have to merge onto a 100K, 110 highway, they're freaking out. But after they've driven the car for a while and practiced the skill, they develop confidence to the point where they've gone through the 4 stages of learning, which is unconscious incompetence, meaning you don't even know what you don't know. Unconscious. I always get them mixed up. 4 stages of learning, and then you go to unconscious or conscious incompetence. Mm-hmm. So unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence. Now you know what you don't know. Right. And then you switch over to conscious competence where you know what you're doing, but you're having to think about it. And then you move to unconscious competence, which is mastery, which is where everything's on autopilot and you've trained your nervous system Like when you can drive across town without thinking about it, that's your nervous system doing it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so there's skill confidence. Most men, when it comes to dating, don't realize that in a modern world with dating apps and just the reality that we exist in is that you're not going to find the dream girl that you want by going on one date a year or one date a month or meeting one girl or meeting two girls in 2 months or two women or whatever in such a short period in such a long period of time. It requires developing communication skills that you've lost, forgotten about, or never even developed in the first place. How to flirt. I mean, flirting is a lost art, right? It's women have lost it and men have lost it as well because for generations we've been told men and women are the same. Like equality has been conflated to we're the same, and we're not the same. We experience life differently. And so men have forgotten how to flirt, women have forgotten how to flirt, and and they've got no confidence, skill confidence. And then there's self-confidence. Now, when you spend a lot of time as a man doing things that you've never done before and learning new skills, you build a lot of different areas that you have skill confidence. And through that, you try a lot of things and fail. And you begin to realize that when you try, it doesn't matter that you fail. And in fact, failing is actually part of the learning process. And that builds self-confidence. And self-confidence is that I am going to be okay. I know what I'm doing, even if I feel scared, even if I feel nervous, even if my body's having a reaction that is trying to stop me from taking the action. I'm self-confident, meaning I know I'm going to figure it out. I know that if I just keep taking action, I will get the result that I want. It's all going to be okay. I believe I can solve the problems. I believe I can overcome the obstacles. I believe. Self-confidence is just full belief in oneself that you can do whatever you want, basically. And so both of them come from one thing, and that is action. And modern men have had action stolen from them. They've had protective, devouring mothers that have kept them at home and not let them go out and explore the neighborhood growing up. They've been given computer games and devices. They've been given soothing devices where they can just sit and numb themselves, not take any action, not take any risks. The modern world, which is has a very, very high focus on stay safe, everyone be safe.
Yeah, I was about to say helicopter parenting.
It's very gynocentric. It's very femme-centric.
Right.
That's mothers are nurturing, mothers are protective.
Right.
But that's not the masculine mandate. Men that women really want have become those men, like the men that women are really interested in and get sexually turned on by, the ones that are self-confident, competent, capable, a little bit disagreeable, a little bit aggressive, right? That sort of raw masculinity that women are like, oh, wow, that's a man. That comes from taking a lot of action, a lot of risks, and failing and getting hurt and getting damaged, but getting back up and doing it again. That's what, like, men are forged in the fire of stress and struggle and challenges and pain and suffering. Like men are forged in the fire. That's not how beautiful femininity is forged. And again, this highlights the difference between men and women. And so men have lost initiation. And if you look at any tribe that still exists on the face of the planet today, which is living in the raw human form that we existed for hundreds of thousands of years, I spent time on the plains of underneath Mount Kilimanjaro with the Maasai, getting involved, living in one of their tribes for a week. And like the boys, the minute they reach adolescence and they go through puberty, they are put to test. Go and hunt on your own. Go and put yourself in life-threatening situations that you are 50% likely going to die.
Wow.
Like die. And that's where manhood and masculinity is forged. And so men today have not had initiation. They've been kept safe right through their 20s, and they're always told, play it safe, don't take any risks, don't do anything. And so when it comes to women, what women are excited by a man that can be a social leader. Being a social leader is taking a massive risk as a man. You've got to put yourself out there. You have to go and do things and say things and and risk being ridiculed by other men, by women, by society at large, because in the act of doing that, you are developing the resilience and the self-confidence that, you know what, even if shit goes sideways, I can handle it. I can do it. And that encourages him to put himself in more risky situations. And so women I see today on the internet are all saying, why don't men approach us anymore? Well, there's a number of reasons for that. But the biggest one is men are just afraid. They're just afraid because they haven't been initiated properly. And what we're seeing in the modern world, which is really interesting, and it's why it's perfectly situated with the men that I work with, is that the modern initiation for men, the big struggle that men have to go through to suddenly be woken up and realize that, hey, no one's coming to save me. No one's going to fix my life. There isn't comfort. There's danger all around me. I've got to sort my shit out, is divorce at 45. Because divorce at 45 for a man is life destroying. Family court, having your kids, like, you know, because the court supports women being the single mums, right? Generally speaking. And so it's massive initiation. And this is waking men up and they're realizing, hey, I've got to pull my finger out here. Like, life is not easy. Life is hard. Life is difficult. And I have to take responsibility. The government's not going to save me.
Right.
My mates aren't going to save me. Women aren't going to save me.
Right.
I have to do this. And so when they realize that and they start taking action and they go, right, what do I want? I want to go and meet this woman to form this relationship. They get the vision, they get the clarity, and they go out and they start taking action and they get beaten down and they get rejected, and they go out to a bar and, you know, like for an average guy to go on one average date a week, he has to send, you know, 20, 30, 40 outbound messages to a woman on an app, or he has to go and approach at at the cafe, go and take the balls to cross the cafe to go and speak to the girl sitting there working on a computer, and she's busy. And it takes huge, huge courage and self-confidence to do that, knowing that you're going to be rejected, or you're going to get laughed at, or it's going to go sideways. And so men have lost that courage. They've lost that bravery. It's all been stolen from them, just the way society is constructed at the moment. So what does self-confidence look like? It looks like, first of all, building skill confidence in areas that you're not skillful in. That's why men that have a couple of really good hobbies, that's great. You know, whether it's surfing, something sporty, or it's, you know, something nerdy, getting mastery in that area shows you that, hey, I can develop mastery in any area that I apply myself to. And then you realize, as men, women and dating, I hate to say it, and I can tell you're going to have haters in the comments here, women, dating, and relationships is a skill set. No man is born with what it takes to be an amazing boyfriend or husband. A man who's an amazing boyfriend or husband has to craft those qualities and attributes within himself that make him desirable and successful as a man and a husband over the course of a lifetime. And this is why women in their early 20s who are at, you know, beautiful and have all the opportunities being thrown at them, don't find 18-year-old men attractive. Like 18-year-old men are not really attractive for a long-term proposition because they haven't developed all the skills in the fire of life, the hardship that life throws at them, the rejections, the business failures, the breaking down on the car and being stuck on the side of the highway in the middle of the desert and trying to figure out how to survive, and all of these things that men have to go through in order to forge themselves as self-confident, confident with life, confident with women, and then take that and go and apply that into taking massive action out in the dating market. And that's just what's missing. So, again, you asked me a question and I'm gone. So
I love it. I absolutely love it, Dan. Thank you so much. Again, I think this is so important to touch base because like you said earlier, it's so easy for us women to truly, blink our eyes and we'll get men on our doorsteps in a second, when it's completely different with men. And
the average man is alone, lonely, feels rejected, does not get attention from women, has never had a compliment from women. And like if you're just in the supermarket as a woman, and I know women have a collective fear of creeps. They have a collective fear of weirdos. They have a collective fear of being raped. You know, it's the worst fear for a woman is being raped. It's horrible. Like the thought makes you cringe. And so there's all these things underlying why women, particularly in the modern world, because there are creeps out there that do weird things.
Right.
But if you just go and compliment a man, in the checkout, the grocery store, just an average man complimenting on something, watch him melt. He's never heard that in his life. Whereas woman's experience, if she takes care of herself and she's reasonably attractive and always looks nice, she's constantly got attention coming at her. And so the land of women and the land of men are two very different places. And for most men, it's very barren and dry. And what I want to do is work with men to help them understand where their value is, where their gifts are as a man, and to be able to amplify and magnify them in their lives and then communicate them on the relationship market in a way that's interesting and attractive to women, develop curiosity, develop intrigue, develop a little bit of mystery, a little bit of fun, a little bit of excitement in your profile and the way that you present and the way that you communicate. Don't just drop yourself on every girl's plate and be like, here I am, here's everything about me, and tell her everything about you and spoil all the fun. Like, be exciting, be a bit intoxicating, like give her that experience of getting to discover you and try to find out who you are as a man.
Wanting more.
Be the degustation, not the pub bistro meal.
Right.
That's what I say to men. Be the little degustation menu that she wants more, and then finally you can be the dessert when she finally gets to have you, and vice versa.
Yeah. Ooh,
so
I like
men
that.
For men it's very bad. I mean, the average man, and it's his own fault. Like honestly, can I swear on here?
Of course.
It's his own fucking fault because he hasn't bothered to. He thinks that modern men come out of marriages, and I'm sure that they have this belief that they're just entitled to an amazing girlfriend. No, you're absolutely not. No man is entitled to $1 million just because he was born on earth. No man is entitled to an amazing relationship just because he was born on earth. Both things require a focused effort. You have to build yourself up as a man that is worthy of the relationship that you dream of having or you imagine yourself being in. You don't just deserve it just by existing. And so you see this on profiles. Men put no effort into their dating profiles. Dead fish, sunglasses, they haven't shaved, they haven't even done their hair, they're wearing shitty clothes that don't fit. It's the car. You know, what's the one you see the most? The car, the driver sitting in the driver's seat of the car taking a selfie at sunset, right?
Yeah.
Like you see millions of them, and they don't realize that everything that you want in life requires effort. It requires work, and you've got to put in the time in the saddle and the hard yards, or else you're not going to get what you want. And if you're as a man, if you just feel entitled that you should just be able to open a dating app and have a great girlfriend, well, you're completely deluded. And honestly, it's the same for women as well. But it's just that women have to work on very, very, very different things in order to secure the next level man that they want to secure. And it's doing the opposite things that men are doing. You're getting me passionate now.
Yeah, it brings me back to, I mean, my parents, they have been married for 47 years, almost 50 years. And
amazing.
Yeah, and it's very rare to see that right now, even with the older couple, because even in my parents' circle of friends who are in their 70s, some of, like literally within the last 5 years, some of them got separated. They got divorced at that old age. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that at that age, you know? But, you know, I think it was mostly the women who left. You know, I just not sure if the men, I mean, I don't know the whole full story, what had happened, but I assume that maybe the men will become very submissive in the way that the woman is holding you know, she is the head of the family and she runs basically the business in a way. It's a possibility.
Oh, there's so many. I mean, I love this stuff and I could talk about it in so many directions for hours. And here's a piece of advice for you women listeners who are out there and they're single and they want to find a really good man. It's one of many pieces of the puzzle that are important. But what I've observed, and my girlfriend also actually helps women as well. So she's not like a dating coach, but she's basically a feminine embodiment coach.
Okay.
And so we talk at length about what's going on. So I have data from her experience as well. But a lot of women modern women today surround themselves with the strong, independent, single woman.
Yeah.
And misery loves company. And we see it all the time that if women are actually having their relationships possibilities, potentials actually sabotaged by their friends group who are single and unable to get a good man. And I know this sounds harsh, but there's a lot of truth to it. And so my advice to women who are listening to this is if you want a really great long-lasting relationship, like you said with your parents who are still together, go and surround yourself have women, a large number of women in your circle as women who are also in similar relationships. Because they are going to tell you the truth about what it takes to make that relationship work as a woman. Because it's not, just because you're a woman and you're beautiful and all these things and you're the womb of life and you can create life and you've got all this value, doesn't mean that you're just entitled to the amazing relationship with the amazing man. You also have to go and work on yourself and who you are and what value you bring to the relationship in your own way as a woman. And obviously that's got to be the relationship that your ideal man's looking for. Right. And vice versa, a man has to bring the value that his ideal woman is looking for in that relationship. It's co-created. And if there's any level of entitlement or any level of, well, I just deserve a great man, but you're not willing to go and do that work and surround yourself with people that already have what it is that you want,
right,
then you will always be brought back down. It's the old crabs in the bucket analogy, the fisherman on the beach, bucket full of crabs, and you see one crab getting up and then all the other crabs pull it down into the bucket.
Right.
Okay. So it's actually probably the most crucial piece of advice for your women listeners that I could give today that I see out there is go and find people that have the relationship that you want and spend time with them. Surround yourself with them. Talk to them about your relationship problems because they're going to tell you the truth. And one of the things that took me to being able to go from like the biggest initiation and wake up call for me in my life was my divorce with my daughter's mum. I never wanted that. I grew up in a beautiful family. My parents were together until my mum sadly passed away because of MND. 42 years they were together. Beautiful family, a couple of siblings, right? I wanted that as well. And the polar opposite happened. Because I hadn't done the work on myself and all of these reasons. But it was surrounding myself with mentors and getting coaches of men that had achieved what it is that I actually wanted from life. That was the way that I learned through osmosis of them about what it was that I had to do. And they were able to hold the truth up in front of me and say, no, Dan, you're wrong. And as much as I wanted to resist that, they forced me to look at that and understand that it was just my ego. It wasn't real. It was the narrative in the story that I was telling myself.
We really are missing like these communal circles or communities when people, men and women, can come together and have these discussions. Sometimes men maybe don't want to open up in front of women, so that's why these men's circles are very important to really share these stories because, at the end of the day, men have feelings as well. And even though they've been put into Pandora box, put it in their closet, under the rug, whatever it is, it's really nice to have another man saying, it's okay. You're okay. You're safe. It's important to have that.
Safe to be vulnerable in a way. Vulnerability, as a man, vulnerability can be done the right way and the wrong way. And vulnerability is actually really dangerous in an intimate relationship with women because it gets misconstrued, and something about vulnerability when it's done in the wrong way can actually be taken the wrong way by the woman in the relationship. It can actually diminish sexual attraction and chemistry within the relationship. But that's maybe a whole story for a whole nother podcast because we're getting into some really advanced nitty-gritty stuff there. But vulnerability for men is, it's difficult, and they don't want to admit that they need help because it signals to their own ego that they're somehow a failure. And that's the biggest reason that men don't form support groups as easily as women do, because like I said at the very start, women don't have ego around that. They don't have ego around their self-development. because it doesn't mean anything. If a woman's, wants to work on herself, it doesn't mean that there's no indications in society that makes her a failure in any way. It actually makes her more valuable. But to men, there's this like underlying current that somehow you're a failure if you ask for help. And it's not conscious, it's very unconscious. It's very primal in men. And that first step into getting help as a man opens the doorway to then getting endless amounts of help. And it's always crossing that threshold. The first time I received help in that regard, it changed my life. And then I don't look backwards. And, my life has accelerated exponentially since then. So,
and that's why you help
it's really
men
important
right now. Because I think, again, it's so important. Very, very important.
We all need it. It's the age of the spiritual awakening of society, right?
Yes. 100%.
Of humanity.
Yeah, there's definitely a shift. Let's get back to dating, because sometimes first dates for men can feel like interviews, right? So what makes a man for a woman genuinely memorable and attractive on that first date?
Well, your women listeners are going to have their own answer to that. But from a man's perspective, what I help men understand is that it's not a job application, right? You're not, as a man, when men have abdicated their masculinity in a past relationship and they've allowed the feminine to become lose that sexual polarity, a lot of men go into dating feeling like they have to impress and win a woman over rather than just attract her by his grounded masculine presence, which he has to cultivate as well. So, and also understanding that the process of courtship, the process of going from the first time your eyes meet to getting into a committed long-term relationship has steps, and they only go in one direction, and you can't jump steps and mix the steps up. So, for example, you can't jump to illustrate the picture. You can't jump to marriage if you haven't had a first date, right? It only goes in one direction. And courtship and attraction and sexual chemistry is something that is created through something that humans have evolved over many, many millions of years, or hundreds of thousands of years, which is it's basically an organic algorithm. And when men behave in certain ways, it triggers certain responses in women. And when women act in certain ways, it triggers certain responses in men. And so sexual chemistry is just about these triggers and responses firing off at each other at certain times and building feelings. Like sexual chemistry and sexual tension is just a feeling. And so when men don't realize that, the difference between, for a man, to have a woman in his life, the difference between a woman being his friend and a woman being his lover, and it's the same for women as well, but is sex. Okay. And so it doesn't mean that you have to have sex, but there must be sexual tension within that interaction. And sexual tension comes from masculine and feminine polarity.
Right.
Now, if you read The Way of the Superior Man, it doesn't matter if it's woman or woman, or man or man, or man or woman, or even if it's the woman and the man, that can sometimes work, but very rarely. Generally speaking, the man should be masculine. It's kind of a bit weird when it's kind of doesn't really work when it's the other way around. Very masculine women and very feminine men can work with that polarity, but it takes a lot of work. But masculine men, feminine women creates sexual polarity, and within that you generate sexual tension. And that's the fun, juicy chemistry. And talking about where you work does not induce sexual tension. It does not induce sexual chemistry. And so when a woman's yawning on a date, it's because you're not hitting her feelings as a man. Women want to feel you. They want to feel your connection at a body level, not an intellectual level. First dates are not meant to be intellectual. What you want as a man and who you are and where you're going should unravel over a short amount of time, and maybe first dates, but often, second dates is where you might, if there's chemistry and there's connection there, then the woman's going to want to come back for more, because she's going to want to find out if there's future potential for a relationship there. But the first step is, how do you feel as a woman? And most men are going into dates asking interview questions, talking logically, talking like men talk in a business meeting, talking like men talk in the shed with each other as men, and not realizing that the language of women is emotions and feeling and connection. And when a man can bring himself down to that level, at least to some degree, then he's going to be able to generate different feelings inside the woman, take her on an emotional journey on the date. And that's where juicy sexual tension's created. And there's, courtship, the development of sexual tension is pressure on, pressure off, pressure vacuum. It's a dance. It's breathe in, breathe out, or breathe out, breathe in, whichever way you want. It's push, it's pull, it's on, it's off, it's up, it's down. It's this polarity that exists in the space between yes and no. And when men go in and just ask questions on dates, and women are doing it too as well. Like, women are just going in with agendas and all sorts of stuff, and they're not embodying their beautiful, natural, sexy femininity that they could be embodying on dates, because they've been trained by society and dating apps and the way system is to behave in this way. They've been trained. They don't realize they've been trained, and they're just enacting what they've been trained to do. But you bring it all back, and you've got to create sexual tension, because the difference between a friend and a lover is sex. And if we want to have a relationship with a woman or a man, it's around a sexual relationship. It means sex. So sexual tension, it has to start there. There has to be that chemistry. And that's what first dates should be all about, is getting that connection, finding out your sense of humor, and having those sort of flirty moments, and those looks and those silences, and the feelings in the body, and the tension, and it's so juicy. And the more that you can, as a man, you can generate that in the interaction on the first date, the more excited a woman's going to be about coming back for a second date and finding out more.
And
a bit like the degustation.
It usually takes less than 5 minutes to know if you have that chemistry with someone.
Well, it's gonna start with, from a man's perspective, it's going to start with how he shows up. And it's going to start with his eye contact, and it's going to start with his body language, and it's going to start with whether he leads or whether he expects the woman to make all the decisions. And that even comes down to the conversation. Like, asking questions is feminine. Asking questions as a man is lazy, because what it does, when you ask a question that is a yes or no question, it's asking the women to come up with the content. It's asking the women to come up with the creativity. But that's the man's job on the first date. So rather than asking questions and expecting the woman to do all the legwork and create all the conversation, a man has to create that conversational excitement in the date, and the woman will follow. So if he goes into the date going, instead of I want to ask her all these questions, I want to create an experience, not only for her, but for me. I want to create a fun experience that I enjoy, and she will follow my lead and enjoy it as well. Then you're leading her and inviting her energetically into an interaction that is fun, exciting, has ups and downs, is juicy, there's challenges, there's a little bit of conflict sometimes, because you're talking about polarizing conversation topics. But the man should be leading all of that and telling stories. Telling stories about where he's come from and where he's going, because those stories help a woman understand whether he's someone that she wants to see a future with or not, and pursue dating at a further level so that they can move towards a relationship. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Oh, very, very juicy.
Did you like
what's that?
Did you like that? Or
I like that.
Did that make sense?
Yes, it totally does. Like, listen, when I was single, I went a couple dates, and for me, definitely it was the first connection. If I didn't have the connection with someone right away, it was so dry. It was just like, okay, I was just looking at time. I'm like, okay, it's time to go. There was nothing there. And it was really hard, because I was learning too, through my process, to be very open, and I didn't want to ghost anybody. I'm not that kind of person. And it happened to me many, many times to me, when guys would just ghost me completely. I had a great conversation for about a week or so, or a couple days. And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's time to kind of, meet up or whatever. quiet, nothing. They're gone. And I was like, oh my goodness. So it's very
They're
hard.
so scared, Alexandra.
Yeah.
Alexandra, they're so afraid. They're so afraid, and they don't know what they're doing. And they don't have that guidance and that leadership that tells them that it's okay to claim their masculine energy. It's okay to be masculine. Modern men have been told that they're toxic for the last 2 generations. They've been told that masculinity is toxic. And there's toxic people, right? There's men that are toxic. There's women that are toxic. There's toxicity everywhere. It doesn't mean that masculinity is toxic. And women are craving masculinity. They're craving it, right? And so what is it that of course there's going to be a man that when you see him, there's going to be something about his energy that ultimately just doesn't tick your boxes or float your boat. But, there's going to be the lack of eye contact, the lack of energy. And women are so intuitive that they can sense in about less than a second whether the man has self-worth, self-belief, self-confidence, is going to have potential in this interaction to make it fun. She's going to know instantly. And it's going to be in his eye contact. It's going to be in the way he speaks. It's going to be in the way that he introduces himself to her. Is he afraid to touch her? Is he standoffish? Is he scared? Because you can tell if a woman's afraid of you as a woman. If he's afraid of you, you can tell instantly. And so many men are afraid because they just don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They haven't been taught. They've had no role models. No one's shown them how to court a woman on a first date. They've got no idea. And so the men that run away on the dating apps, they're just totally afraid because they don't know what to do. And when you as a woman go, fuck, I'm sick of this. Like, okay, maybe it's time we go and do something. He's like, oh shit, no, I'm out. I'm gone. And so as women, you got to filter them out quickly. And as men, I am teaching men, get off the apps and get on the phone and organize a date. If you're spending more than 15 messages on an app, it's too far. Okay. Oh, but okay, yeah, we'll refine your communication strategy on the apps so that you're ticking the right boxes and you're hitting a few notes and chords that are necessary to get her to make you realize that you're safe, that you're normal, that you're not a psycho, that you mean business, that you're not afraid of sex, you're not afraid of women, you've got a spine, you're willing to stand on your own principles. A few of these basics that men have lost, show that through your messaging structure, and she'll give you a number. You can give her a call. You can jump on a video date, and then you can go on and if that works well, you can go on a real in-person date, and boom, off you go. But men are so scared. They don't know what to do. And some of those men that you say, like, you have a really good conversation with, and then they ghost after you try to cement something in, they're just afraid. They don't know what to do. And they've probably, a lot of them honestly have never had a woman do that. A lot of them, they're like freaked out, literally freaked out. Oh my God, she wants a date. I've been on a dating app for 2 years. And
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know how frustrating it is for a woman? It was so not discouraging, but it was really what did I tried to second guess myself. What did I do? Did I say something to piss him off? Did I, did I have makeup screwed up or something? It was just these things that sometimes women can go through this stage of forgetting of who they are as well, and having this trust basically in men, right? So I know this, she's a good friend of mine, beautiful girl, same thing, she's just turned 50, and she's been single for the past 5 or 6 years. And she just posted something today on social media basically saying, I think I'm done with dating because I put out my heart and soul into, who I am and what I want and how I want. And I'm literally attracting the wrong man. So she's like, I'm leaving this to God's hands right now. I'm done with everything. I'm going to let him find me. Because she's like, I'm done finding the right guy. So it was really cool to actually read that, because it made me thought of you when you were coming on. I was like, oh, I'm going to say that.
Can I speak to that?
100%.
There's two things. There's two things. Number one, and this is going to sting this is going to hurt. okay, to your listeners, and anyone that is sitting in, and this is the same for men as well, but anyone that is sitting in that situation of your friend, you have to look in the mirror and you have to say, am I being the woman? It's all very well to sit there and say what I want, what I want, what I want, what I want. But is she sitting there going, am I being the woman that my dream man wants? Am I being that person? Do I have the energy and the sexuality and the sensuality and the behavior? Do I have the look? Am I taking care of myself the way my dream man wants me to take care of myself? Am I behaving in those ways? Am I being that woman that he is looking for? And that one's going to sting because so many people don't do that. They're like, oh, I just want, in this world of, instant gratification that we've all been trained upon, what I want matters more than anything else, right? The individual matters more than the collective. But you've got to ask yourself that question. And the second thing was, and I've just lost my train of thought, was, it's like, are you taking care of yourself as a woman, particularly if you age? Because beauty is important to men. How you appear in terms of your beauty is important. And if you're not taking care of that and being the best version of yourself physically that you can be, that will work against you. It will work in your favor if you take care of that. So your diet, what you eat, how much you weigh, how fit you are, those types of things. And then the final piece on that is, are you putting yourself in places where your dream man might be? And behaving in the way that your dream man wants you to behave. And the only way that you can find that out is ask men who are in relationships where you want to be. Like, look at your girlfriends, as I said before, surround yourself with girlfriends who are in a relationship that you want as a woman. Then go and talk to her man and say, what is it that as a man that you want to see that would make me attractive to you the same as your wife was? What are the things that she did that I need to embody as a woman? And I need to learn about my femininity. And this modern world of strong, independent women, like, it's gone too far.
Yeah.
And there is a huge amount of this where we've got, like, a lot of women in the world have been forced to act like men, right? They've been told that you can be anything a man can be. You can, but you can never be a man. And if you try to be, you'll be fucking miserable. And because you're not a man, you're a woman. And men trying to be women are going to be miserable because they're not women, they're men.
Right.
And so we've got a lot of sexual polarity that's all out of place.
Right.
But the men that you really want as a woman, they want to, if he's masculine, he wants a feminine woman. And so how you can still be strong. You can still have your money sorted. You can still have your business or your career. You can have that on the side. But are you bringing that masculine, fighting, provocative, disagreeable energy into dating? Because I tell you now, no matter what, a strong masculine man does not want to date himself at all. Never. He wants a strong woman. He wants a woman that's got spine and that isn't a pushover and that isn't someone that he can, like, kick into the dirt. Like, no man actually wants that. Only a fucking asshole wants a woman like that.
Right.
Right? Men don't want that. They don't want a pushover. But they don't want a woman that is combative. They want, because men are competing at every level in society. Their entire life is one big competition. That's what men's life is. From the day they reach high school, it's compete, compete, compete. And they want a woman that complements him and eases that pressure and isn't competitive. And so you can be competitive as a woman if you want to operate in a masculine, like, space, like business and all of that kind of stuff, and the corporate workplace. It's competitive. It's masculine. That's what it is. If you want to compete in that, but you can't bring that to dating. And if you do, you're only going to attract mummy's boys. You're only going to attract men that haven't healed their mother wound and are looking for a replacement mum. But if you want a man that's a man, he's going to make you feel uncomfortable as a woman because he's going to tell you no. And he's going to say, no, I'm not going to put up with that. No. And that's going to be really difficult to hear because as a woman, you're trying to compete with other men and competitive women in business and work and career and other places in society. And so you have to have that competitive spirit. But if you bring that to dating, it's going to hurt you and take you backwards. It's not going to attract the men that you want. And so knowing your femininity and embodying that and what it means to men, understanding from your dream man's perspective what that looks like, what does that mean and why is that important to him? Like, understand what men want at a deep level, and then you can just effortlessly embody that, because what men want, being the woman that your dream man wants, is actually easier than not being the woman that your dream man wants. And the reason I say that is that reverting back to your natural born feminine spirit that is innate within you as a woman makes dating feel effortless. But in order to do that, it doesn't mean being more, it means being less. It means letting go of the shields and the armor and all the other things that you've had to bring on in your life to survive and to thrive and to, you know, navigate this difficult, challenging world. And in a modern world, that armor is often a lot of masculine energy. And when you can shed that and let go of it as a woman and actually resort back to your femininity, it sucks when there's no men that can meet that. But then when you find a man that can, he's going to absolutely cherish that and love that, because he's going to be in his grounded masculine, and he's going to understand his masculine energy and his role. And then this all loops back to like relationship roles, and it resorts back to that sexual polarity. And so right now we've got men that have become very feminized, we've got women that have become very masculinized, and the sexual polarity has twisted. And a lot of women that have adopted a lot of masculine energy to navigate this modern world, they're attracting a lot of mummy's boys and feminized women, because that's the way the polarity attracts. And when they do see a man that is in alignment with who they actually want, he is not coming to them because he's being repelled by her masculine energy. So a very strongly masculine man will be repelled or pushed away by masculine energy. He doesn't want that.
Right.
He doesn't want to compete at any level. He just wants ease and effortlessness. And the beautiful thing about that is, if you can, as a woman, can bring yourself to surrender and trust in his masculinity, then life is really easy for you, because you just get to be a woman. You just get to be feminine. And in that time when you're with him and he's in your life, you get to just be who you were naturally born to be. You don't have to try to be a fighter or a warrior or a businesswoman or a boss babe, or you don't have to try to be any of that. You can let all of that go and surrender all of that in the moment. And then he can fall into his masculine role. And that's when relationships become very beautiful. So that was the end of that thought.
I think you said it really nicely earlier too. It's the dance between the two.
It's a
between
dance.
The masculine and the feminine. It's a dance. It's a never-ending dance, and it's a never-ending journey. It's like once you're on it, you can't go back. Can't go back. Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I see men doing once they get into relationships with women that they start as not as really as tests, but it is a bit testy. And it's that men very quickly abdicate the decision-making processes to their woman. And the reason men do this is that men innately, like good men, want women to have it all. They want their woman to be happy. They want their woman to experience ease in life. What men don't understand is that women need the polarization in their own emotions. Women, in order to feel really good, women need to understand what it feels like to also not feel good, because it's the gap between the two that tells her like exactly where she is in life and what's going well and what's not going well, rather than necessarily material results, which is much more masculine. And so men will be faced with a moment in their relationship where they can either choose to have a difficult conversation or say something difficult that will result in a conflicting response from his woman. There'll be some conflict there, right? You know, he has to say no to something, or he has to make a decision on something that, you know, maybe she's saying she wants something from him or the relationship that he can't deliver or doesn't want to deliver or isn't safe to deliver, and he has to say no. And in that moment, he thinks, oh, I don't want her to be upset, so I'm going to act in this way. And in that moment, that's a very, very downward spiral where he's abdicating his masculine decision-making authority within the relationship, and that chips away at her respect for him. And I see this all the time. And then we get into the pattern where she's feeling frustrated, and the woman gets naggy, and this is when women start saying, you don't do enough around the house. What she's not, it's got nothing to do with the fact of what he does around the house. If he was being his masculine, strong masculine self, that wouldn't matter. She'd be happy to do the things that she does. The resentment
Right.
that she's feeling is actually that he's not being the masculine man that she wants him to be in his embodiment, his energetic embodiment, and the way he's navigating life and being that confident leader. So that's another thing that I see men doing all the time in relationships that is killing polarity. It's killing the sexual attraction and the chemistry within the relationship. And it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time after that, because the woman typically starts looking for an out. And, men don't plan marriage escapes. Women tend to plan escapes. They start to put their, privately put their ducks in order. And all the signs were there. He could have read the signs, but he didn't know what the signs were. He didn't know how to look for those signs, and he didn't know how to course correct. And then it's too late 6 months later. And all of a sudden she's gone. And he's like, well, where did that come from? I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, what happened? Right. Right. Well, that too, and I think also communication is so huge when it comes to relationships. I mean, we're only humans. We all get into a little inny grinny, disagreements and things like that. But I think once we come with, again, openness and being like, okay, let's just not point fingers of whose fault it is or whatever, but having that understand. So I'm going to tell you the way that we deal right now, because in the past it was like you just described. It was very self-centered. It was him, it was me, it was completely different things. But now, since we are back together for the past 4 years, when we get into these little conflicts, instead of blowing up, for example, and making a huge thing, whatever,
Yep.
we just basically say, you know what, I just need a couple minutes, walk outside, take a breath, go downstairs to the garage. He does something, and then literally within 20 minutes to half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, we come back and we talk about it. Okay, what happened? Why did it happen? And then we kiss and make up, and it's great.
Very mature. It's a great way of doing it,
We
not.
have to, because in the past we never did that. It was like you said, there was a lot of walls around for both of us.
I
So it
mean,
was a lot of learning.
reactivity and uncommunicated expectations are the two biggest drivers of
Right.
separation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally think that's a very mature way to do it. But being reactive, most people don't, like, it's too late. They already act in their reaction, and then the fight or the argument happens. Whereas being mature enough and cognizant enough of your triggers and noticing that you are triggered is a real skill, and it's an amazingly valuable one, because you can just go, oh no, hang on, I'm triggered. I don't need to protect myself in this moment. I'm just feeling triggered. I just got to move away, take some time,
Yep.
allow the feeling to dissipate, that strong impulsive feeling to lash out, let that go. No need to lash out anymore. Now you can come at it and say, hey, what were your needs what were your wants or needs that weren't being met there? What was happening for you? Because this is what was happening for me. I got triggered because it's my XYZ wound, and I'm trying to work on that. And now we're having an amazing relationship where we're growing together and helping each other become better versions of ourselves, rather than beating each 100%. Other into the ground. Perfect.
100%.
Perfect.
Yes. Thank you. So if a man is listening right now and feels discouraged, like maybe love just isn't going to happen for him, what is the first and most important mindset shift he really needs to focus on?
I have to take action. I have to act in the unknown, because the two pathways there are accept defeat before you've even tried. I mean, men might feel that they've tried, but have they exhausted all the opportunities that exist in terms of, like, are they doing the right things? A lot of men have invested time and energy, but they've been doing the wrong things. It doesn't mean that dating is going to fail them. It just means that they haven't cracked the code yet. And so it's action. One way or another, it's action. You can either do it yourself for years, and you can do it the hard way and reinvent the wheel and learn and keep trying different things. You've got to try different things. Keep trying different things. Doesn't work. Try something else. Try something else. Taking action, action, action. Men, masculinity is action. Right? That's what masculinity is. It's action. And the second thing is, once you realize that you're not going to give up and you don't want to die regretful, which is probably the worst way to die, having like not even really tried it to the best of your ability, then get some help.
Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
That's what I did. And, I now get help at every level in my life, whether it's in health and fitness, whether it's in money and business, in coaching or dating or relationships. I go and speak to men that have an area of expertise that I can lean into and draw from. And it means admitting that I don't know everything. It's hard for me.
Yeah. It's a journey. It's a journey. We don't know it all. It's just, even Tony Robbins has a coach, it's like everybody needs someone. If it's not a life coach, then it's a really good friend or someone that they can actually really open up and talk to. So,
yeah.
So what would you want? Yeah. What would you want a man to remember about love, timing, and his own worth?
Holy dooly, Alexandra! You can't ask me a question. You can't ask me that question. It's got about 3 different massive things in it: timing, self-worth. Just give me.
If you can put that in a little box.
Come on, give me one of those. Come on.
Okay, so remember about love.
You love. You must put yourself first as a man, and what that means is not. Well, it does mean being selfish sometimes. If it means if you're going to sacrifice yourself as a man in any way, then you're sacrificing yourself. That's not. You can't be the best for other people if you've sacrificed your principles or what you stand for or who you are as a man or your wants and needs, and have become a doormat for other people. And by that same token, it's like if you're looking for love in dating and relationships, if you don't love yourself, if you don't have love for yourself, you will not fulfill that hole through dating relationships and women. It will not come. And as a man, the first place is to learn to love yourself. And it's not that hard, but you do need feedback. You do need feedback. You need a mirror that is willing to talk back at you and say, this is how you're not loving yourself, because it's blind spots. It's always blind spots. Because especially in our 40s and 50s, we're so ingrained in our behaviors and our bad habits of the way we think that we've lost all conscious awareness of the way that we're operating, our operating system. It's all become deeply unconscious and we're just operating on autopilot. And so loving yourself is the first step to finding love. And that means admitting where you have faults, admitting where you have flaws, not hating yourself for them, not punishing yourself for them as a man, but having love for the fact that those exist, and then being gentle, kind, and nurturing towards those aspects of yourself, accepting what can be changed, what can't be changed, accepting what you have control over, what you don't have control over, and having love for those things and acceptance and forgiveness within yourself. And then the things that you can change or control, getting to work on them and saying, if I love myself, I wouldn't be like this anymore. If I loved myself, I wouldn't keep allowing myself to be in toxic relationships that I let women walk all over me or beat me up or whatever, like emotionally or physically. Like, no one can love you until you love yourself. So, yeah, that's the steps.
Very nicely said. Very nicely said. So would there be any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
So many final thoughts.
We have another hour.
To the men out there, if there's any men listening to this and you're 45 or 43 or 48 or 53 and you've been in a long relationship and it all fell apart, maybe you don't know why it fell apart yet, maybe you do, maybe you wanted it to happen, maybe it was just wrong, and you're successful in all these other areas of life. You make work success, you make money success, you make health and fitness success. Like as a man, you're just successful. But this area of women and love, you just like, you feel like you're at your wit's end. That's very normal. That's where a lot of guys are today. Realize it's just a skill set. It's not something that you were born with, men. You weren't born with the skills. You have to learn them. You have to like develop and foster and cultivate this side of you, which is relating to women. And part of that is learning the experience of women, understanding how women experience life, because only then, when you can have that level of empathy, can you truly relate to women. And if you feel like you're going to have to die alone, it's absolutely not true. It just means that you haven't been focusing your efforts and attention in the right places. And the final thought on that is, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, if you're not willing to work at it and prioritize it in amongst your top 3 priorities in life, at least, like top 2, top 3 priorities, it doesn't have to be for life. Like, it's the Pareto principle. It's 80-20. In 20% of the time, you're going to knock over 80% of the work that you've got to do, and the rest of it will just be tailwind. But for a short period of time, you have to really focus a lot of attention and energy on it. And if you do that in the right places, you surround yourself with other men that have what you want, you can learn from them, then you will get where you want to go. And don't give up. Like, decide what you want and then don't quit. Because the only people that don't get what they want are the people that quit, the men that quit. That's it.
And ask for help, for sure. Yeah.
It's my final thought.
So where can people find you, follow your work, and really go deeper with what you teach?
Yeah, look, it's good. I mean, I've got Facebook, I've got Instagram. I mean, my name's Dan Gibson Dating on Facebook, Instagram. It's a lot of the same content, probably more deeper, long form written content on Facebook. But that you can get a bit of an introduction into who I am and what I do, and you can, see other guys speaking about their experience. There's a bit on YouTube, but I've got a free group and community on School called Magnetic Man Dating. Maybe you can share the link at some point. It's not for everyone. It's exclusive. There's no women in there. There's no men under 40. There's no men that haven't got the rest of their life together, meaning men that are still living at home and hoping that chicks are going to save their life for them. No, we're not doing any of that. Like, these are serious men that want to understand women and dating and work towards an amazing relationship, find a beautiful girlfriend. So there's a free community on School called Magnetic Man Dating. You can apply to that, and you'll get a phone call from me personally. I'll call you within 24 hours and we'll have a quick chat, see if it's the right place for you. And if it is, we'll go ahead and jump on in there, and there's a video program in there. There's a community of like-minded guys. There's about 180 guys in there at the moment. And that's the best place to find me.
Dan, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for your work. It's so needed. And again, so grateful for you to come on and share your work and your thoughts and what you do and how you help men get through the difficult times, because they're not easy, for sure. So I really, truly appreciate that.
And thank you for the opportunity to get on my soapbox. I love talking about this stuff, as you probably worked out. So thanks for the opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas on that. And I hope that everyone figures this out for the sake of humanity and our future generations. And, we work this dating and relationship thing out because the world needs it.
Thank you.